Hi, welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to wherever you're joining us from. If we find ourselves in different time zones, I think we're already living the boundless life. But we've gathered here today. It's the first of hopefully many episodes that we will do on how we can enable you to live a boundless life. In 2019, there were two digital nomad visas. There were two countries that offered digital nomad visas. And today it's about 20. And I think it's apt that we gather here today and we talk about how we can make this process easy and simple and set a path for families that want to live, travel slow and live this nomadic life. We'll start with a round of introductions. I'm Srividya, the Director of Communications at Relocate. I'll hand over to Jürgen, my colleague, who'll give a brief introduction of Relocate, and then we'll go to Boundless Life. Jürgen, over.
Hello, and thank you for the introduction and especially for the invitation. I honestly couldn't be more excited to be here to talk about both Relocate and Boundless Life and the amazing partnership that we are forming together. If I just may say a few words about Relocate, it's really the story of a couple of nomads and experts who came together and figured out that the legal system is not really ready for them. That is the starting story and the origin story of Relocate. As Srividya said, introducing this, in 2019, there was two digital nomad visas out there, and most people had never heard of the term digital nomad. First time when I, many years ago, became a digital nomad, people still asked me, a nomad? Oh, so that means you're homeless, right? We're so sorry for you. Today, in the year 2022, we are thankfully in the position that there's a healthy ecosystem, and I'm proud to say that we are part of this ecosystem, and that Boundless Life is a leading figure in this ecosystem who enables individuals and companies to relocate and live the life they dream of. And that can be in so many different variations. And the point where we came from is a legal perspective. Immigration law is not always ready for people like us, as a consul once called me. And as a consul once really told me, I said, Jürgen, I'm terribly sorry. There are no solutions for people like you. And when David Cantor, the founder of Relocate, and me, we came together a few years ago, we figured out that that's actually true. There are no existing solutions out there. And the immigration pathways that exist in reality, and those that do exist on paper, they do not always overlap. And this is how Relocate came together. We're trying to ease the burdens of migration. And I know this sounds like a couple of buzzwords, but this is truly what we believe in. The relocation experience, even the legal aspects of it, especially the legal aspects of it, shouldn't be terrifying. It shouldn't be terrible. They should be a pleasant experience in which you can trust and that will enable you to live a truly boundless life. And this is what we are trying to do. And this is why we're so happy to join this partnership in this webinar, where we'll be answering hopefully quite a few amazing questions. And thankfully, it's not going to be me who will be answering those questions, but many of our amazing partners who know so much more about immigration law than I do. And I think we will show you a short video about what Relocate is about, what we are doing, and then I will let you take it from there.
Imagine a world with no borders, where burdens of relocation are eased and global mobility encouraged. Introducing the first independent platform for global migration. Navigate your relocation needs with a North Star and compass and immigrate with confidence. Join us and transcend borders today.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I think this is the most opportune time to introduce Boundless Life. We're so excited to partner with Boundless Life. I think just from anecdotally, from my experience speaking to peers and friends, there's always been a demarcation when you tell them you want to travel, but then they think of that as being in opposition if you have a family. How are you going to provide stability? How are kids going to go to school? And I could never imagine a reality where this can be manifested and that it's been done by Boundless Life. I want to now invite Marcos to introduce himself and talk a bit about bringing us all together today over here and what Boundless Life is.
Thank you, Srividya. Such a pleasure to be here today with all of you. And thank you so much to be part of this first episode of a series of webinars that we are building to really bring together these pieces that are so important to enable the boundless life, right? We're working really hard to support our community, but we also want to be able to develop this know-how that doesn't exist yet. We've been looking for that one expert that knows all about those digital nomad visas, and we couldn't find. By partnering with a network like Relocate, will really support us and anybody looking to live this lifestyle to be able to transit these new regulations and actually really enjoy this new life with their families, in the case of the families from Boundless Life. So thank you so much, and all those experts as well. We're looking forward to hear what you have to say and how you can, bring some clarity in some of the many questions we receive from our community and people around us. I want to do the same. I want to share a quick video that, for those who don't know Boundless, presents a little bit more what we do. We are this really structure and turnkey solution for families who want to travel the world, be culture immersed, educate their kids in a superior way, and live this location independent life with simplicity in a way that they really can achieve that goal. So let me do the same here. We love this little video, just 30 seconds. And yes, let me see if I... All right.
Perfect.
Let's get this
going.
Thank
you so much for it. So I guess we can begin with the questions. I guess this is the part that everybody's been waiting for. We hope that this is beneficial, informational, and also really practical. If you have any questions, we encourage, just to keep it organized, to drop your questions in the Q&A box. You should see one, and we will address them at the end of the panel. Thank you so much. We're joined here today from Nicolò from Italy, LA from LA. I will leave you to say your name correctly, from Greece, and Sara from Portugal. Thank you so much for joining us today. Just to backtrack and go back to, a bit earlier, the stat that we just spoke about. In 2019, there were 2 countries offering this digital nomad visa, and today we have over 20. So I guess we will go after introductions. I really want to know your opinion of what changed and how you make sense of all of this, working as a migration expert in your respective countries. Who wants to take it away? Sara?
Okay. First of all, thank you so much for the invitation to be here. As our hoster mentioned, my name is Sara. I'm a lawyer in Portugal. I'm a partner in my law firm and also president of the Portuguese Association of Immigration and Investment and Relocation. So it's a topic that is very dear to me. We can see from the Portuguese perspective a huge increase in what regards to the digital nomads, especially after what happened during COVID and the promotion that Portugal had abroad in terms of security, in terms of the health system, how they managed to control the situation, and as being a choice for families, for pensionists, for young people just trying to explore the world. So we are dealing with that on a daily basis. As in the beginning it was mentioned, in fact, the law is not prepared. The Portuguese one was not prepared for this fact. Besides the law, of course, we had also all the delays caused in the public services by COVID that also caused here some impact. But in fact, the law was not prepared. But one thing that Portugal was able to manage was, although not creating a special regime yet for digital nomads, was able to make an input in terms of the interpretation of the law to make a more larger interpretation in terms of adjusting to this new reality, because this is quite recent. Of course, there was always someone coming to Portugal for this kind of life perspective, but now the influx is much bigger. So the consulates and the external providers like the FES, they are dealing with this on a daily basis, and they have to adjust based on what we have in the law, and they are adapting, and the law is working in good terms, but also creating some confusion. Why? Because each consulate is in a different country, in a different continent sometimes, so the interpretation sometimes is not the same. So this can create some doubts, and we can see in the forums, we can see when we speak with people that they say, but I think that this requirement means something, for instance, the accommodation. And yes, here in America can mean this, but in India can be a different totally understanding in what that concept will mean and will demand from the applicant. So yeah, it's a challenge, but it's also an evolution, and Portugal for sure is with open arms to this new reality. You are in mute.
Is that the, thank you so much, Sara. Is that the same in Greece, would you say, Ellie?
Hi, everyone. So my name is Eleftheria Charalambous. I'm really happy to be here with you. But as you said before, my name is quite difficult, so you can all call me Ele when addressing me. So I think that Sara put it very correctly, that I think the digital nomad, this new permit here in Greece was like, I said, a response to the pandemic and the new situation, the new order of things, let's say, because it became clear that people can work from home. At least in Greece, before it was not that common to be working from home, but due to the pandemic, everyone had to adjust and find ways to work from home. And I think this, combined with the new government and more modern government, I may say, created this new law for digital nomads. They wanted to attract this type of people who will be able to work from one island in 1 month and next month be in another island of Greece and be working. So they introduced this new law. They made the internet faster. So Greece is ready to welcome more digital nomads.
And have you already seen like an uptick in applications and stuff?
Yes, there has been a lot of interest. Yes,
awesome.
for Greece. Usually, I mean, it's now, especially now, this period during the summer, because Greece is a very nice destination for summer. So usually this type of period is there. We are always getting a lot of applications.
Perfect. Nicolò, I guess I am very curious about, or I'm sure our audience is also very curious about how the situation is in Italy. I know that Portuguese and Italy are one of the famous destinations for digital nomads and have been, but what has your experience been with supporting digital nomads into Italy, and how do you support them? What are some of their challenges, and what are the best practices?
Sure. So thank you, Sarita, for having me. So Italy has been the latest Mediterranean country to adopt a digital nomad visa. In fact, it was introduced in late February of this year, 2022. Now, we are waiting on an official government decree to determine the final policies of the law. So how is that renewable? What are the final requirements, et cetera, et cetera. Now, there are different ways to move to Italy, and digital nomads, I think, is the most attractive, mainly because you do not need any clearance certificate from Italy. So basically the approach of the government in the last 5 to 6 years, of the governments, because in Italy governments generally do not last long, is to provide tax breaks to newcomers. So Italy has become more attractive, making it easier to move to Italy, and then making also taxes a little bit lower. In fact, there's a non-resident regime similar to the UK non-dom. There are tax breaks for new residents up to 90%, tax breaks for pensioners. So basically, I mean, Italy and Portugal and Greece, I mean, they're trying to combine easier immigration and taxes to attract digital nomads and other categories and nationals of the society. But the whole goal is to reduce bureaucracy. And I think Italy has a lot of work to do, but we are going in the right direction.
Well, we definitely hope so, because I think most of us are really looking forward to finding out more about that option. I think the point here, or the discussion here, is that how different would this process be for families versus individuals, right? As we see, the Great Resignation, the future of work, everybody has gone remote, maybe except Tesla, and they want to explore the world on their terms. And like I mentioned earlier, this should not be something that stops families from doing that. And the advent of, we see slow travel, we see more families interested in, getting their kids exposed to different cultures, different environs. So how, as migration practitioners and advisors, what would you have to say about some of the clear differences between a family applying for these visas versus individuals? Whoever wants to take it away.
I'm happy to jump. Oh,
yeah.
Whatever.
No.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah. So, I mean, as I said, like a common practice in Italy is you normally have one applicant, and based on income requirement, you can include the whole family. Now, you cannot include straight away in a single application, but you can move alongside the family as a tourist in Italy, and then you basically acquire your residency and you apply from Italy on a family cohesion visa. Basically, you need to prove that you're a family, that you don't want to be split. The only obstacle in that is that you need to have preemptively your marriage license, your marriage certificate, to be translated, notarized, and apostille, which makes it faster for the application. So you can move on the same plane when the main applicant got the visa. Upon acquiring residency, which is normally in the next 30 days, so before the 90 days Schengen period expiration, then you can apply for the whole family upon satisfying a basic income requirement, which, to be frank, if you cannot make that money gross, it's fairly hard to live by. And with that, you apply in Italy. So there's not a family application, but it's a two-stage process.
I see. And how does that compare with the situation in Greece, Ellie?
Okay, so basically in Greece, there is no actual limitation. I mean, they can apply, everyone can apply at the same time, the whole family, as long as, of course, you meet the requirements, the economic requirements, which are increased if the main applicant needs to be accompanied by the spouse or by each child. I think the only limitation I can think of is that this permit does not actually allow you to work in Greece, okay? Being a digital nomad means that you are working for someone abroad, not for someone in Greece. So the only limitation for the family members is that it also applies to them. So if you will be traveling, if you will be relocating to Greece as a digital nomad, it means that your spouse is also not allowed to work in Greece. So this is the only limitation, let's say, but they can all apply at the same time, as long as I said, they meet the requirements and they have the sufficient documents proving their relationships, their marriage certificate and their birth certificate.
And is it also for the same period as it is granted to,
Yes.
I guess my
Yes.
question is, are all digital nomad visa applications treated the same, whether it's a family or an individual?
Yes,
Other than okay.
Yes, the duration is for everyone the same as for the main applicant, always, in all permits in general in Greece, but specifically for digital nomads, yes, it's for 2 years for all members as well.
Perfect. How about Portugal, Sara?
So in Portugal, the traditional way of processing will be the main applicant to request a visa, with the visa to come to Portugal, get the permit, and then do the family reunification. But again, the Portuguese entities, they are now enlarging the interpretation, and in some cases they are already allowing, if the economic requirements are met, to all the family to apply at the same time for the visa. So when they come already with the residency visa and apply here for a permit, and all of them will have a permit of 2 years. In the consulates or countries where this is not yet in place, it's more or less as Nicolò mentioned. So the main applicant comes with a residency visa, the other ones can come with a Schengen visa and do the proceeding here of family reunification. Regardless of having the card itself, the schools are always open for the children to be registered even without a residency permit, because they are very flexible in that aspect.
That's pretty incredible. I did not know that. Thank you for that fact. I guess I guess Portugal is one of the destinations which is a special interest to Boundless Life also, since they have a campus there. I encourage you all to go check it out. But moving on, so I want to do like a bit of a setup where we can go over a hypothetical case, or maybe this is someone's actual case, and then we can respond to how you would give like a script for best practices or some procedure, maybe not in depth, but just a overview. So say it was a family from USA or UK wanting to stay for 3 months at a time in different countries, and what would the procedure exactly be? How long would it take for it to be approved, and what would the procedure like? How would the steps go? Nicolò, if you want to jump in with.
You're muted.
I'm sorry. So what are the steps to require the family cohesion?
Yeah, from say if it's a family from US or UK, wanting to stay for 3 months at a time, and maybe apply for a possible extension for another 3 months. Yeah.
Okay, so from Italy, like if you have a 90 days visa, the tourist visa, so the C type, you cannot overstay. Well, you may overstay, but then you suffer the consequences. So if you want to settle, and you need to get a D type visa, which the digital nomad is one of those. Now, it's extremely important that basically every visa D type in Europe, I mean, I cannot speak for other country, but I feel it's the same. They allow you to settle in the country where you obtained the visa, but you can basically move freely in the whole union. Therefore, I mean, what I feel it's extremely important is to determine where is your fixed base. So which country would you call home in Europe, which determines where you're likely going to pay taxes, where your healthcare can be approved, and where potentially you have the main center of your affairs. This also determines the path to have a potential permanent residence in the European Union. So for instance, in Italy, it's 5 years. Therefore, my advice is not to rush in to pick the easiest and fastest option, but thoroughly assess what is your best path in light of potential future changes or how your life develops. For instance, you may have kids that want to attend a particular university, therefore Portugal may be preferable over Italy in 3 years down the road. So would you rush to Italy? Well, and probably Portugal makes more sense, but then allows you the flexibility to travel. But it's very important where you put your flag, and that flags determine your taxation, where your family is based, and many other items that of your ordinary life. So unfortunately, Europe is not like the United States, but it's still different countries it's not different states. So this is a very important decision to make prior making the move. And
can these families say extend their visa while they're in the country, and also change, look for alternatives if they were to go on another path, say either employment or permanent residence or business? So are all those paths open to digital nomad families choosing Italy?
This is correct. So the only visa that doesn't allow you to have employment or self-employment or to be converted is the elective residency. Now, if you have any other type of visa, a D type, whether it's digital nomad, self-employment, EU blue card, family cohesion, family reunification, you can change the type of permit reason, and you do that at renewal. So you do not, for instance, you're on a family cohesion visa and then you start employment, you can get hired, but then when you renew that, you can opt for either renew the family cohesion visa or switch on an employment visa. It's you don't have to request the change. Once you set the foot in, you can then change your visa whenever, your residence permit, whenever it expires.
And from Italy, it can be done from...
This is correct. This is correct. So visas are processed at the foreign Italian consulate. Right. Residence permit are renewed or amended in the place where you acquired the residence. So if you are Rome, you do that at the immigration office in Rome.
Right. Thank you so much. Sarah, I guess same question I'll throw at you. So say a family from US or UK, and I think we bring that up because the passport and the nationalities matter here. Yes. So, and say if they're in the country for 3 months and they want to extend it, what would the procedure be, and what are the steps that they would need to follow?
Okay, so the first important topic, as Nicolò mentioned, is to understand how long they want to be in the country. And if they want to establish here a period of residency for more than 1 year, so yes, we will be under the D visa that Nicolò mentioned, that should be requested out of Portugal in the residency country, in the consulate or in a VFES service. However, due to the agreements that Portugal has, there are some citizenships that they can enter in Portugal just with the passport or with a Schengen visa. For instance, UK and US, they can enter just with the passport. And that entry will allow them to stay for 90 days. And during those 90 days, they can freely be in Portugal and of course in Schengen area, because we have no internal borders. Under the situation that you asked, if they would like to extend for more time, the law allows an additional extension of additional 90 days. And usually that extension only covers the country that is granting the extension. So let's imagine they come from US with a US passport, or they come from China with a Schengen visa. In both situations, after those 90 days, the normal proceeding will be to request here in Portugal before the immigration office an extension of additional 90 days. And for that, they need to present basically the new flight tickets to prove that they will go back, in fact, the proof of accommodation, the proof of economic means, and the insurance. It's the basic. And in some cases where the officers are more strict, the justification to present the reason why they are staying for additional 90 days. Important also is that in some cases, for clients or for digital nomads, people that are in Portugal that extend for those 90 days, if they have a very strong reason to justify that they want to extend the 90 days, not only for Portugal, but for Schengen area, in that case, exceptionally, the local authorities, for instance, in Portugal, can also grant the extension covering Schengen area, but they will need to present a justification, and usually that only occurs in case of business people that can justify that they will have a meeting here, a contract there, to justify the circulation in Schengen area. Other thing that in Portugal can happen, and this is, I think it's a little bit different from the remaining European system, but El and Nicolò can amend me if I'm not correct. Portugal has a very specific path that allows people that come with Schengen visas or passports and not with the visas to actually have access to a residency permit in Portugal that will allow them a 2-year card to work or to develop independent freelancer business. It's a special regime that Portugal has that is called manifestation of interest, where after being in Portugal for more than those 90 days, there is an application before the immigration office to say, hey, I have here a labor contract or a promise of a labor contract, or I have here a services agreement or a promise of a services agreement, or hey, I'm a high qualified professional and I have this offer, or I'm incorporating a company and I need to stay. And in that case, the law specially accepts and defines that will be granted, it's not a possibility, it's for a fact, will be granted a residency permit of 2 years.
Got it. And how is the situation comparable in Greece, Ellie?
Okay, I think in Greece it's quite similar with Italy and Portugal. We have visa C and visa D, like Nicolò mentioned. Visa C is a touristic visa, is the short term for 90 days, and visa D then is the long-term visa for 12 months. Now, Greece also introduced the digital nomad visa, which is again valid for 12 months. And it basically says that if you are not sure that you want to come to Greece as a digital nomad, do not come and apply for the permit. You can try the digital nomad visa, which is for 12 months. So you can try it, like you can apply it at the consulate, at the Greek consulate of your place of residence of origin, and you can get this visa and enter the country and live like a digital nomad in Greece without the obligation to actually proceed at the Ministry of Immigration and apply for the digital nomad permit. So you have these 12 months, no strings attached, let's say. Also, like Sara mentioned, we do have in Greece the opportunity for someone who does not need a visa to enter the country to enter the country and apply straightforward to the ministry without, US citizens, for example, who don't need a visa C or visa D, they can enter with their passport. They can directly apply for the digital nomad permit, which is for 2 years at the ministry. So we do have that as well.
Got it.
Sorry, just to clarify, because I don't know, and this is of interest also for our clients.
Yeah, of course.
With the digital nomad visa, they can work, or they need to show foreign income?
No, digital nomads in general cannot work in Greece. Either if you're either under the visa regime or the permit regime, let's say, you're not allowed to work in Greece. This is the whole, let's say, requirement is that you're working for employers, or if you're a freelancer, for clients outside of Greece.
Okay. That is different in that perspective from our regime, because we don't have the digital nomad visa, and we are using what we have, that is a D, to apply for digital nomads. That's why I was asking.
So you can, so just to go back and cross-check, so you can, how would that work in Portugal? So they would apply, they would come, but they also cannot work, right? They have to have a foreign employer?
Depends. If they come with the D visa, they can work in Portugal, because the D visa allows them to work in Portugal, although to apply, they need to show passive income or foreign income, okay? But after being in Portugal, they are entitled to. And in the situation that they don't come with the D visa and they come with the Schengen visa, but then they decide to stay, they apply for that special regime that is the manifestation of interest, and the permit that it will be granted will also allow them to work.
Understood. And is that similar in Italy, Nicolò?
Italy, you always, you cannot apply locally. You have to do everything offshore. And once you get that, given that this is included in the self-employment, you can be hired, you can work offshore like a freelance. You can freelance in Italy, you can do whatever you want. Another thing I wanted to mention is that claiming a visa, obtaining a visa and choosing the country, planting a flag. Another thing that may be considered is what is the fastest path to naturalization to get a EU passport. So for instance, Italy is a 10 years journey. So you can do that. Well, yeah, but you do it for now and you start now and then 10 years. I don't know if Portugal or Greece are faster, but the common idea is that you want to come in Europe, you have to go somewhere. You may as well go somewhere that are friendly, and then in 4 or 5 years you may get a passport, and then you don't need any visa any longer.
Right. Right. That's interesting. It's like a doorway to the entire continent in that sense. So I guess before we have some FAQs that, families ask very often to Boundless Life. I want to kind of, just address some of those questions. But, and I think just before we jump into that, the one question that I was curious about, I think our audience will benefit from, is what are some of the restrictions placed on digital nomads, like even with families? What can they not do? We already know that in Greece, they cannot work. In Portugal, they can. But other than the must-haves, what are some of the things that they cannot do or cannot do not have the rights to do, basically? Sarah, you can take it away.
In Portugal, because of our lack of a special digital nomad visa, they can do everything what a residency holder of any other kind can do.
Oh, okay.
They can enroll in the school, they can benefit from the health system, they can open companies, they can purchase real estate. So.
Okay, good to know.
The only restriction we have in Italy is that you need to pay for healthcare for the main applicant on the first year. Then you can enroll in school, set up a local business, set up a company, purchase homes. The other thing I would mention, whenever you get a visa valid in the European Union, for instance, you are an Indian citizen, as an Indian citizen, you're not allowed to purchase real estate unless you have a visa or a residence permit. So it's also worth considering that whenever you get a residence permit in Europe, and then between Italy and your country, there's no an investment protection treaty, then with the residence permit, you have the same right as a citizen. So I made the case of Indian citizens because I get normally inquiries like, hey, can I buy a home? No. Can I buy a home through a company? No, because the investment protection treaty has expired. And for instance, there are some limitations with New Zealand. So if you're from New Zealand, they enacted basically some residence-based purchase, which European countries responded, well, if you do that, we're going to do the same. Now, if a New Zealand citizen gets a residence permit in Italy, then with that, given their resident, they can buy real estate in the whole Europe as every Italian citizen would do. Now, if they do not renew that or they go back home, well, they can retain the asset because it was purchased when they had the right to do so. So this is another important point, that when you get a residence permit, then you get the same right as a EU citizen in terms of economic affairs.
Right. How about in Greece, Ellie? What are some of the not to do's, or do nots.
Well, yes. Well, the only limitation, like I said before, is that you're not actually allowed to work, which means you cannot pursue, let's say, any economic activity in Greece. I mean, you're not allowed to work. Other than that, you can of course buy a house. You don't need a permit in Greece to buy a house. Actually, anyone who gets a Greek tax number can buy a house. And then they can apply for the golden visa, for example. So it's another permit. So there's no other limitation. You have access to the education, you have access to healthcare, you can live your life, you can enjoy Greece, the food, the culture, everything. You cannot work. This is for someone in Greece.
Can I just do? Okay, I'm super enthusiastic of the.
Digital nomad.
It's possible to change. Imagine that I'm ending my digital nomad visa, the period I'm ending. It's possible to apply directly for a permit while I'm in Greece, or I have to go back to my country.
You mean the renewal, right?
Yes. Or
yes.
Can I renew the digital nomad? Or
yes,
can I go? I can jump to a permit, a residency permit that allows me to work, for instance.
Okay, so digital nomad permit can be renewed. It's renewable as long as you meet the requirements. You continue to meet the requirements, but you're also asking if you can change permit, right?
Yes.
You can change yes, you can. Yes. Again, we will need to see that the applicant meets the requirements of the new, let's say, permit. But yeah, they can change the purpose of the permit, of course.
While in Greece, in that case, I would not need to go back to my origin country to apply. Okay, good.
Yes.
And we're all assuming that the driver's license comes first, and you can have that across, and then the house comes afterwards, right? So in all the countries, digital nomads can have driver's license. Can they open local bank accounts? And
of course,
if they wanted to, and of course, we know that they can enroll them in either school or be a part of Boundless Life, as we're talking here. All right, so I'll address some of the FAQs that families have sent us. So how long, okay, I guess we know the answers to if they can stay in the Schengen zone for longer than 90 days, and if they want to, what the procedure would be. So how long does it typically take to obtain this visa? I guess that's a basic question that we can address now.
From the Portuguese perspective, the first thing I say to any client, regardless the option of residence, is please manage their expectations, because the timings are crazy now. But in terms of the digital nomad that we are using has the D7, basically the client should consider 1 month as preparation in terms of getting a Portuguese taxpayer number, in opening a bank account, finding an accommodation. Then there is an application before the consulate or the VFS service that they have up to 60 days to issue the visa. That visa will then be valid for 4 months and allow 2 entries in the Portuguese territory. And during those 4 months, they will have an appointment in the immigration office where is granted a residency permit valid for 2 years. And usually the card arrives more or less 4 weeks after collecting the biometric data in Portugal.
How about in Greece, Ale?
Okay, so if one will be applying for the digital nomad visa first at the consulate, then provided, of course, that we have collected all documents, which, okay, there is a long list. Usually, for example, the criminal record takes a long time to be issued. The rest are, as I understand, are easy to be prepared, but the difficult one is the criminal record. So as long as we have all the documents and we submit the application at the Greek consulate, the digital nomad visa is issued within 10 days. And there is actually a law here in Greece which says that it must be issued within 10 days. Otherwise, you can file an official complaint. So it's a fast track procedure. So after these 10 days that the digital nomad visa is issued, you have the 12 months. You can enter whenever you want in Greece within these 12 months, of course. And then we proceed with the, if we are to proceed with the application at the Ministry of Immigration. It's very important and it's very beneficial because on the day of submitting at the Ministry of Immigration, the ministry actually provides you a confirmation of application, which is your temporary residence permit, let's say. So you actually, your days begin, the counting begins from the day of application. So you actually have the residence permit, even though it's not yet in process, it's just, you have just applied. So they basically give you this temporary application, which you can use to enter, exit, and stay in Greece while your application is being processed and while your card is being issued, the permanent card is being issued, which usually takes around 1 or 2 months to be issued. And this is because, I mean, depending on the period, because usually summer is crazy, so I would say 2 months. But during the winter, where there are not many applications, 1 month the residence permit will be issued and ready.
Got it. Nicolò.
Yeah, so I mean, all the application, of course, I mean, we are talking about a paper process and papers must be in place. Therefore, you need a little bit of effort as an applicant to have all the proper documents. But once you have everything ready, the procedure to acquire the visa is normally 1 to 2 months because everything has to be done at the foreign consulate. Excuse me. And then you can enter Italy. I just wanted to add one thing. So the visa is normally valid for 20 months and has a starting date and an ending date. So whenever you receive the visa, beware of the starting date because it happened to a client of mine that traveled before the starting date and therefore they could technically not be admitted to Italy. They basically enter on the ground of a tourist visa and everything is good. But you have that 12-month period to move to Italy. Then once you land, you have 8 days to convert that in a residence permit. And then you will get the permanent card in a month or 2. But once you apply within the 8 days, you will get a temporary card and that works as a residence permit.
Got it. Got it. And I think our audience is sending us a lot of questions in the Q&A box. But the one question I had before we turn to that is some of the options presented to digital nomads or what can be attractive is that they get some kind of tax benefit. Now, how high in the priorities is that for, say, some of your clients? Is that an option that you would recommend, or what is the procedure for that? And what do they require to gain residency first?
So in Portugal, for instance, we have a special tax regime that is called the NHR, non-habitual tax resident. The name does not make any sense and just creates confusion between the applicants. So let's just call it NHR. Can be used for digital nomads, definitely, but because it demands the change of the tax residency to Portugal, it's important to understand if the person is willing to stay in Portugal for more than 1 year or not. If it's just wants to less than 1 year, it does not make sense to apply because then will not cover the entire tax year. In particular, that tax regime, what mentions is that foreign income in general will not be taxed in Portugal unless we are speaking about pensions. In that case, there are a low rate of 10% taxation. Capital gains are also taxed, so they are not exempted. So only personal income is exempted. And it's also always important to see the double taxations agreements with the tax country of the applicant in order to know what will be the benefits by changing tax residency to Portugal. Besides that, the regime is also interest for people that will develop in Portugal added value activities. Why? Because a normal tax resident in Portugal will be subject to a taxation under progressive levels that can go up to 48%. And in this case, if the applicant is provide is developing in Portugal added value activities, the taxation of his Portuguese income will be subject to a flat rate of only 20. And that is a huge difference between what the standard people will pay. To apply for the NHR, it is by declaration and by presenting a Portuguese address. And from the moment that we declare, we give the entrance as tax resident in Portugal, and in coordination with the previous country of residency, we should do the exit of the tax residency in that country, being always relevant to have this collaboration.
Right. And have you ever faced that situation, Nicolò, in Italy?
Yes, I faced that. Now, I just wanted to spend like a word in regards to tax residency. So, visa allows you to enter a country, residence permit to settle. Now, if you want to live a nomadic lifestyle, it is very important to understand not to trigger tax residency rules. Now, you may be deemed as a tax resident. Let's say that you move to Italy. Italy has its own rules, but you spend the majority of time, and I pick Greece. I have no idea how the Greek tax system works. But you may also trigger tax residency in Greece due to your living there. So it's very important to understand if, because you will always have a tax base somewhere, which is normally the place where you settled and you acquired your residency, but spending extensive amount of time in a different jurisdiction and, for instance, having a permanent home, working from there, have a position there, have financial affairs, may trigger tax residency. So it's important to understand how to deal with that. Now, Italy doesn't have a strict, some countries have 183 days rules. So for instance, Italy doesn't count the number of days you stay in a country. We have a domicile and habitual abode principle. Greece for sure has a different system, as well as Portugal. So it's very important to understand that moving somewhere, you still need to have a tax base somewhere, and the local tax system may still get you under the local laws. And on top of that, you have double tax treaty. So you may be protected by that, but it's normally preferable to investigate your situation before you find yourself with a nasty tax bill that you need to defend with a tax lawyer. Therefore, it's a matter of understanding permanent rest, permanent home, or temporary accommodation. That can make a difference. Or number of trips, how do you travel, where do you work from, etc., etc. So as I said, the European Union is not like the United States. So we are still different countries with different tax system and rules, and your presence there and your activities may affect that. So, be aware of that. It's extremely important.
Perfect. How about in Greece, Ellie?
Okay, so in Greece, I know no one wants to be involved with the tax system here in Greece and pay taxes in Greece, but in general, because the digital nomad permit does not actually allow you to work, you don't have income in Greece, it means that you're not, there are no tax obligations, let's say. But of course, like Nicolò said, in Greece we have this 183 days. So if you meet this requirement, there is a possibility that you will be taxed. And Greece has also introduced this special tax regime that I think Sara mentioned that they have in Portugal, which actually tries to welcome people to transfer their tax residence in Greece. Basically, what it says is that if you want to bring your tax residence here, we will make you a 50% discount for the next, let's say, 7 years. I think it's 7 years, if I'm not mistaken. So they have introduced some I don't know, some to attract people, but in general, digital nomads, because they don't pursue any economic activity, they are not subject to taxes.
Got it. Perfect. I hope our audience was taking notes because there's just so much information, wealth of information shared. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm going to, moving over to audience Q&A. Alex asks, are there any updates on the details of the recent announcement of Italy's digital nomad from the end of March? I think this is for you,
Well,
Nicolò.
in pure Italian style, Italy, that was introduced by decree, converted into law, that became effective on March 28th. I don't recall the exact paragraph, but it stated that the Department of Interior, the Department of Tourism should have issued a joint decree to determine the criteria within 30 days. Now, 30 days have expired and we're still no decree. So now, I mean, it's in place, it exists. The forms are not rolled out, nor the conditions. So we still bear with our departments and wait for the final call. But honestly, it's about due time.
Okay, thank you for that. Thank you for asking that question, Alex. We have another question from an anonymous attendee. It says, as a non-EU citizen, will I be free to move in all Schengen countries? I'm guessing, assuming they have a digital nomad visa in one of these countries. And will I be able to move my business easily? And is this similar to a normal residency? For a non-EU, I'm guessing third country national. Whoever wants to respond to that first.
Regarding Portugal, yes, because our digital nomad is a standard residency permit. In terms of relocating the business is also easy. Of course, will depend on the origin country, especially in terms of compliance. Middle East countries can have some more deep compliance in terms of bank accounts and origin of the funds. And of course, Russian business at this moment is a little bit difficult to move to any place in Europe.
Got it. Thank you. Ellie, I have a specific question from the audience for you, but if you want to answer that as well.
Okay, yeah, of course. So basically, the digital nomad permit here in Greece is for 2 years and says that you have to stay in Greece 6 months per year, and that is if you want to renew your residence permit, because when the time comes and you want to renew, then you need to submit your passport and they check if you travel outside. But that means that you have the 6 months to travel through Schengen. And of course, if these 6 months become, I don't know, 8 or 9, no one will actually know, because when you travel through Schengen, there's no way to prove it. So unless you're traveling outside of Schengen, then you shouldn't be worried. Got it.
There is a specific question for you. Any percentage increase in applications for Greece's digital nomad visa over the past few months? And how can Greece compete with Caribbean states or against Croatia, which is more popular among nomads?
Oh, okay, so I don't know how Greece can compete with Caribbean or Croatia, I'm sorry. I think each country is beautiful and it depends basically on what each family or each person wants and is looking for. I mean, I personally love Greece. Some maybe may love Italy, some may love Portugal. Some may want to travel the whole world, so why not? The digital nomad allows you to do this. So I can't really say. Unfortunately, I haven't visited neither Croatia nor Caribbean, so I can't really compare. I wish that I will be able soon to do so, to travel there. Now, in terms of percentage, yes, there has been a lot of increase in the applications for these residence permits. Although I may say that unfortunately, some applicants find the economic, the sufficient means threshold, the requirement a bit high. So I think this is maybe the only thing that limits many people from applying to Greece. Because
how much is that?
So yes, so the steady income needs to be 3,500 for the main applicant, which is of course, yes, euros, which is of course increased if you are to be accompanied by your spouse or by your child. So a lot of people find it, I think in Portugal is lower, right, Sarah? I think I have this.
Yes, in Portugal, what they need to prove is to have they should have a Portuguese bank account with 12 months of what corresponds to the minimum salary in Portugal. So by the end of the day, in the application, you need to show a bank account with 9,000 euros and a passive income of 705 euros per month.
So it's average. A lot lower than compared to Greece. Even though in Greece,
main applicants, then for spouses and children, spouses will be 50% of that and children 25%, 30%.
Wow.
Even though in Greece, you do not actually need to have the whole amount in a bank account, but you need to prove that you're getting this amount every month. So they do request the employment agreement, for example, to check that you, or they may request bank statements from the last 3 months, for example.
Right. Okay. And I guess this is a question that I want to throw in. How does this complicate stuff for, say, freelancers, for example?
Okay, so a freelancer obviously does not have the employment agreement that an employee will have, and that it will be straightforward. But for the freelancer, they usually require a tax declaration.
Okay.
We can submit a tax declaration, or I don't know, here in Greece, for example, when you're working as a freelancer, you declare your activities at the tax office. So I'm guessing there's a similar documents in the other countries where we can use them, these documents apply here.
Right. Okay, got it. I guess this next question is for you, Sarah. We'll answer it live. It's from Piotr. I hope I'm saying your name correct. In Portugal, I'm a US citizen who has let into the country to work with zero intention to leave. I have struggled to acquire a residence visa, work permit. I have all the documentation needed, but for me to get help, I need an SCF appointment, which has become impossible with the COVID and Ukraine war, as I'm low on the totem pole. Is there a way around this so that I have a visa and can leave the country and still be able to return?
So if I correctly understand, this attendee to our event entering Portugal just with the passport, correct?
No, this person asking is there a way around this so that I can have a visa and leave?
Yes, but when arriving to Portugal, it was just with the passport. I think in the beginning of the conversation, I think so. If it was just with the US passport, the correct proceeding would be to file that special regime that is an online filing that is called manifestation of interest, that then will run online until the point that will be accepted and then will be granted an appointment. And yes, because of the restructuring of Portuguese Immigration Office, the COVID, the Ukrainian war is being impossible to have appointments. So what the government is doing is time to time, the government is automatically accepting all the applications without special diligence. It's like an administrative approval and is granting the visas like that. During that period, at least regarding the Portuguese perspective, they can stay here because they have proof that they are under that proceeding. Of course, traveling to other borders, it's more complicated, but between Portugal and the origin country is always possible. But I know that is not the most happy situation, but yes, we are facing a problem with appointments.
Right. Okay. Which countries make it easiest for digital nomad families to file for a visa rather than individuals? I guess her is a better, faster answer.
I guess not Italy, because you have a single applicant.
I see. Okay.
So I guess it's Greece then. In Greece, they can all apply at the same day. So I think this is very important and it makes things a bit easier. But of course, there are other limitations that someone needs to take into consideration. So, I mean, from what I said before, that in Greece, you're not allowed to work. So for someone, maybe this may be very important that you're not allowed to work in Greece, or for someone else, it's not. So they will prefer Greece because they can apply together, the whole family. Depends on each situation, of course.
Right. Okay. I guess the next question is directed at Nicolò and Sara. Looking into Portuguese or Italian residency visa, do we need to be in the respective country for X amount of months consecutively, or can we move around within the Schengen region and beyond? I think we addressed that, but we can go over it. Is there certain documents like marriage certificate that we should bring before leaving the current hometown? Additionally, is it best to apply for a residence visa in the States or within Portugal or Italy?
So from the Portuguese perspective, the recommendation is always to request the visa abroad. So in the residency country, facilitates a lot in terms of appointments, because automatically it will be granted an appointment, and which will be different if the person comes just with the passport and requests an appointment here from Portugal. So yes, you should request the visa abroad. I always recommend the clients to bring all the personal documents that they can, because at some point they can be needed for some proceeding. Family reunification, of course, we will need marriage certificate or to prove the civil partnership. Birth certificates are also relevant. And criminal records, of course, from the federal ones or from the country itself. In terms of timings of presence, the Portuguese law defines by the negative side, saying that from the moment you have a residency permit, and in this case, the first residency permit is being granted by 2 years, the law says that you should not be out of Portugal, neither for 6 consecutive months, neither for 8 interpolated months. Otherwise, you can have issues when you are deciding to renew that permit in the end of those 2 years. So first, for someone that is not considering to spend more than 2 years in Portugal, that is not a topic, because in the meantime, it will not be cancelled. For someone that, yes, is looking to stay in Portugal for more time and eventually to apply for citizenship after the 5th year, that could be a topic. The law foresees an exception, saying that if you are out of Portugal for family reasons, for social reasons, or for professional reasons, there is no problem. We will not cancel your permit. However, this is a subjective analysis. Third argument, we are in Schengen area, so actually it's very hard to someone justify that was in Spain and not in Portugal. And usually immigration office is not crossing information, especially if the person is not traveling by airplane. If traveling abroad to outside of the Schengen border, that can be a problem if there are no justification to be out of Portugal for more than the minimum periods that the law defines. So in that case, the applicant should be aware of that risk at least.
Got it. How's the case in Italy?
Well, Italy is fairly simple because once you acquire a residence in Italy, you may also not spend time in Italy, as this is defined as a declaration of stay. So whenever you hand in your passport, they check the stamp. However, you may provide a reasonable situation. For instance, a force majeure cause. I was due to go back to the United States due to whatever circumstance or reason. But the registration itself in Italy is sufficient proof to renew your visa. So it's actually no problem.
Got it. Got it. This is an interesting question. I'm going to combine two of them. One is from Matt. If a family gives birth to a newborn in any of these countries, what would be the visa that is given to the child. And I guess a related question is it possible to bring a family childcare provider or like a nanny or an au pair under this visa?
Well, on the Italian side, whenever a baby is born, well, we have a big discussion about jus soli and jus sanguinis. So if a baby is born in Italy, he's not a citizen, he or she. Now, the visa is a family cohesion visa. So basically, whenever the baby's... Yeah, so basically the baby is granted a family visa under the whole family. And I forgot the last question was...
If they can bring childcare help.
Oh, yes. They can. So there's a special visa in Italy called an au pair visa. The only thing is that you need to prove that your house, like the place where you stay, is large enough to grant the livability, an independent livability of the au pair, which means basically that he or she needs to have an extra room and his own toilet. That's the main requirement. Well, and of course that you're gonna pay him or her. But yes, there's a special visa for au pair.
Right, got it. How about in Greece, Ellie?
Yes, okay, so in regards to the baby, of course, once the baby is born, it's a member of the family. So yes, you can apply for the baby as well. But this does not apply to a nanny or anyone who wants to come to assist in the, let's say, the family, because the permit is restricted to family members only.
Right, okay, got it. And in Portugal?
In Portugal, if the applicant or the father or the mother are in Portugal under legal residency for more than 1 year and the baby is born in Portugal, the baby can automatically request a Portuguese citizenship if they want. If they don't want, they will file for the family reunification cards and the family residency card will be granted in case they don't want the citizenship or in the case they don't have the legal residency for more than 1 year. Regarding nannies and au pairs, I wish we have something like in Italy, but we don't have. So in that case, they have to, the nanny or the au pair, they need to file for a D1 to request a work permit.
Right, okay, got it. I guess we have a question from anonymous attendee. Do you have any advice for UK citizens who are stuck in one EU residency post-Brexit? Any way to maintain that country's residency and at the same time be more mobile across the region? Anyone?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Sure, yeah, sure. Do you have any advice for UK citizens who are stuck in one EU residency or with one EU residency post-Brexit? And is there a way to maintain that country's residency while also being mobile in the EU or Schengen area?
So by holding a EU residency, they can always travel in Schengen area for the usual 90 days in every period of 180. If they can upgrade the residency permit for a EU blue card, in that case, they can also change of country. And I think that if it is a permanent residency card, they can accumulate with other residency permits. If it is a temporary one, no. Besides that, it will depend on each country. For instance, in Portugal, the people that had the European Union registry, they could automatically be granted with the residency permit until the Brexit official date.
Got it. Okay. I guess this is an interesting one from Evangeline. What about options for those of us who have already overstayed our 90-day Schengen visa and are trying to stay longer without going back to our home country? So is this the same as they apply to extend from if they've overstayed, are the rules different? I guess it's a question addressed to all three of you.
In Portugal, if they want to extend, it should be before overstaying the 90 days. But if she wants to stay for more than the 90 days and is not already in the position to extend the visa, we will have the manifestation of interest topic that they can apply.
Okay, perfect. How about in Greece and Italy?
Okay, in Greece, you cannot actually extend the visa. So you just need to go back, unfortunately, and apply again for the visa.
Okay, and even if they don't overstay the 90 days, that's the case.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I thought you said that if it's going to expire, right? This is the question.
No, they say if you have already overstayed the 90-day Schengen visa,
if you overstayed
without going back, is that
okay?
about?
If you overstayed, no one is going to kick you out of the country, let's say. But obviously, when you leave the country, you will not be able to enter again. You will need to apply for a new one.
Okay.
You cannot extend it while you're in Greece. This is what I mean.
Okay, got it. How about
same in Italy, same principle.
Got it. Okay. And this is another related question. While processing the residency, I'm guessing they mean transferring from the visa to residency, that can be done. Do they stay in the country meanwhile?
So the question is, once they're granted the visa, they enter the country and apply for residence permit.
While it's being processed, but if
okay. Of course. I mean, in Italy, so the visa, as I said, is the right to enter a country, and then once you have that, you need to convert that into a residence permit. You're gonna be there.
Got it. And is that the same in Greece and Portugal?
Yes, like I said before, when you apply here in Greece and while your permit is being processed, you, in any case, get the certificate of application. So this allows you to enter the country, exit, and stay. But if you already have the visa, the digital nomad visa, then obviously, I mean, yes, even before applying, you have this right.
Got it. And I guess this is a relevant question to ask. When this, I guess this is specifically for Greece, but I guess we could address this to all three countries. Does the registration or application need to, do you need to fill out or give details of the employer? And what would happen if, the person, say, loses a work contract and is in the process of getting another work contract? Would the authorities need to be updated on this, or how would that go?
Okay, when we apply, we submitted the employment agreement as part of the evidence that you meet the requirements. And the employment agreement must be valid for at least 1 year, the following year, in order to be accepted. Now, in case something happens and the person loses his job or changes a job in between, let's say, there is no obligation to notify the authorities, but if the time comes and the 2 years pass and you want to renew, then of course you will submit again a new employment agreement showing that you again meet the requirements.
Got it. And how's the case for Portugal and Italy?
So in Portugal, under the digital nomads, they should apply at the consulate or at the external provider with the work contract and the declaration of the employer saying that the contract is still in force. Usually the visa will be granted within 2 months. When they arrive to Portugal, the process is already in the archives of the Portuguese Immigration Office. So, of course, if the contract is cancelled in the meantime, they should say, but usually they will not request an updated letter if the one that they were provided with is less than 3 months.
Okay, perfect. And in Italy?
Well, I mean, given that we don't have the final requirements, but if you apply in your own private capacity as a freelancer, of course, you do not need to provide any employment details. If you apply as a remote worker, therefore you maintain your job offshore and that you work from Italy, normally in other types of visa, you need to provide the employment letter, potentially a letter of good standing at the moment. Imagine you've been working in the same company for 15 years, and the most recent pay stubs. So that's what happens with the employment visa. Now, I don't think they put anything more than that. They may reduce it for this type of visa.
Got it. So in the interest of time, to be respectful to everybody's Friday schedule, so we'll take one more question. So Komal asks, what are the income tax implications for digital nomad visa holders? Maybe specifically, do they need to prove that they're paying tax somewhere or elsewhere? What would some of those restrictions be?
In terms of application, they don't need to show the last tax declaration, but is relevant in terms of showing that they have income. In terms of tax impact in Portugal, it's like El was mentioned, I think. So if they spend more than 183 days in Portugal, they can be taxed in Portugal, or even spending less time if they declare that Portuguese is their center of interest. In that case, by declaration, they start to be taxed in Portugal.
Perfect. And Ele or Nicolò, anyone want to jump and take?
Yes, like Sara said, when we are applying for the digital nomad permit, or when we are going to renew, let's say, for the digital nomad permit, the ministry is not requesting any tax returns or anything relating to the tax liabilities of the applicant, because they assume that she did not pursue any economic activity in Greece, so no requirement whatsoever.
Great. And the same goes for it.
So in Italy, you need to provide, normally every visa, you need to provide proof of a certain financial status, and this can be proven. Normally the tax return is the easiest one, because you got the most recent tax return. Hey, I made 20,000, whatever, you convert to the euros, you made 20,000 euros, you can move to Italy. Fine. Whenever you renew the Italian residence permit, then you need to prove that you have certain income sources. Now, if you are also considered a tax resident of Italy, you need to file a tax return on your worldwide income, and therefore you will have a tax return on your hand. However, if you're not a tax resident, you can use foreign tax document. However, you need to show somewhere that you made that money. So it's quite hard to prove. I mean, there are certain cases, but it's very unlikely that you can claim non-residency for tax purposes and still get your residence permit renewed.
Got it. Awesome. Well, thank you all so much. If our audience has any more questions or queries, or is curious about how to live this boundless life and slow travel with your family and explore the world, you will be connected to the advisor we're speaking to today. They are our very own Relocate advisors, and through this partnership, they would be able to answer more questions if you had any for them. Thank you all for a wonderful and a very, very informative and useful conversation, and staying so long on a Friday evening. Thank you so much. I really want to take the time to thank all our audience that came and was engaging and engaged. Thank you so much. Enjoy your weekend.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure. And
Bye-bye.
Thank you for all the speakers. It was a pleasure to know more about your programs.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.